The breaking and entering show. Jeez. Jump scare, the breaking and entering show, advertising news today. It's Tuesday, July 21st. I'm Jack.
And I'm Gino Schellenberger. Locked in.
Presented by Tatari. Shout out to Tatari. They're presenting sponsor for this month. You see the sticker here. It's a big show today, Gino. To kick it off, we'll have Jordan Rogers, but after that, I want to give everyone a little preview of what's to come because we've got some interesting stuff happening. The Good Wipes brand is taking advantage of a moment with the Parasite to sell more Good Wipes. After that, we're going to talk with Sydney Gallop, who is a professor at Streamer University, Kai Cenat's week-long Streamer Campus University. We're going to ask her, how'd you get that? And then also, what was it like?
That's right.
And then after that, we have a couple Olympians. As well as the global CEO of 72 and Sunny, as well as the president of the Female Quotient, talking about the launch of an executive apprenticeship program helping the female athletes here, the Olympians, set themselves up for success outside of the Olympics. And finally, Matthew Lowe joins the show. Creative director at Fanatics, to talk about what goes into creating Fanatics Fest and all the content around it. Those are the top stories, Gino. Anything before we jump in?
No, excited for these. We got Olympic athletes here. I think one's got a gold medal as well, Jack.
That's right.
So I'm gonna ask some fun questions when that happens here. But shall we kick it off with Jordan?
Yeah, Jordan Rogers is going to join the show. The FIFA World Cup just ended, and we're going to talk about the biggest brand winners, biggest brand losers, Nike versus Adidas, all of that and more. Welcome to the show, Jordan Rogers.
Thank you, gentlemen. Happy to be here. I'm on 5G. Internet service, so hopefully the stream is okay. I'm moving and I realized that I turned our internet off.
No, you look great. It's everything. It's swimmingly. It's running swimmingly. I honestly, first thing, are we going to get to 6G? We're at 5G now.
Yeah.
I feel like we went from 3G to 4G to 5G in the matter of like 3 years. I have not heard anything about 6G.
No,
Jordan, anything there?
We're done.
You're right. My sources are not telling me anything, but maybe we'll get GTA 6 and then we'll get the 6G after that.
Jordan, excited to talk with you today. Sports marketing expert. You worked at Nike. You are the expert to talk about all things World Cup, though. Any background that we need to know about you, your specialties, before we dive into our questions about the World Cup?
Yeah, I just want to beware to any of our Euro or global friends that I am an American who is talking about soccer. And, I'm probably a little bit more of a soccer fan than most citizens of the US, but we'll probably say soccer. Mm-hmm. We may say cleats when we're talking about their boots, but just know, I know all the terms. We're just an American audience here generally, so forgive me ahead of time.
No, that's great. I appreciate that. Adidas versus Adidas, all of those.
You know the things.
Yeah, of course. Well, yeah. I want to jump into it. Obviously, you spent a lot of time working at Nike on brand. Going to the World Cup, I think the number one thing, at least in the brand marketing world, was Nike versus Adidas. Like, everything was teeing up for this big moment for these two brands to go at it. I think Nike's road to recovery has been well documented. Adidas has had a lot of momentum. What are your thoughts now that it's played out, Nike versus Adidas coming out of the World Cup?
Yeah, I mean, I think that this doesn't make for great content, but is it possible that they both won? That they both did well? I do think that was my take before the final. I think once the final is done, it's pretty clear Adidas got their dream scenario. I don't think that necessarily means that Nike loses. I know that it drives Nike insane and Nike will feel like the cards didn't fall where they could have for them. In the semifinal, we had England and France, who are both Nike teams, who were going up against Adidas programs in Spain and Argentina. And unfortunately, for Nike, both of those Adidas teams won, and they had the biggest Adidas athletes on both of those. So you had Messi, who's this GOAT, and the kind of swan song for him. And then you had Lamine Yamal, the youngest, who's literally 20 years younger than Messi, who's going to be there. And so for them, it's kind of a win-win once you got to the final. That also supported them being the official sponsor of the World Cup. And so I think not enough people perhaps give Nike credit. Nike is not an official sponsor of this and so they are working a little bit more of a guerrilla marketing style sometime for a company as big as Nike, but they don't have the official, FIFA World Cup sponsorship. And so I I think it's possible that they both did well, but I think Adidas is the one who's really, really happy at the end of the day, and Nike feels like they probably came up a little short.
Okay, I want to ask about can you explain for maybe people that don't understand, like what is the significance of being the official sponsor versus not, and what advantages are there? Like why isn't Nike an official sponsor of the World Cup?
Yeah, Nike's kind of funny. They are certainly no stranger to sponsoring large corporations and leagues. I mean, they have in America, we basically have the NFL, MLB, NBA, WNBA. I mean, they have almost all the biggest leagues. They have many of the top universities. They have many of the top federations. Obviously, we saw this with the World Cup. However, they're not super fond of sponsoring like the large event itself. So the two biggest that are notorious there are the World Cup and the Olympics. And at this point, I think, and then generally up until just about a year ago, Nike has never done a Super Bowl commercial. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know whether that's just a pride thing, like it's part of the lore at the company. Like you're never the official sponsor of the Olympics, but you still steal the show of the Olympics every year. And so it's a fun creative challenge. The advantages of being the official sponsor, though, is you are allowed to be on all the merch. So Adidas is the official ball of the World Cup, and so their logo is featured on all the balls. They are the official staff dress provider for all of the people who work the event. The referees are wearing Adidas. And then they're allowed to say FIFA World Cup. So I went to the game, they have like Michelob Ultra as an official sponsor. They're allowed to show the trophy. They're allowed to say the World Cup. They're allowed to show up at the events and activate there. Nike is not allowed to say that. They're not allowed to show up on site. They're not allowed to have official advertising on those sideboards. So you just get a lot of synergies when you're the official sponsor. However, I would say, had the ball gone just a little bit a different way, Adidas being the official sponsor, ending up with an England versus Nike, final would have really sucked for Adidas. And that's where they would probably feel like, gosh, I don't know. I mean, of course, they would probably justify it was worth it. Yeah. However, Nike would be like, heck yeah, we got over on them. We've got, the two biggest teams, two biggest athletes squaring off here. That's not true, actually. Jude Bellingham is the biggest athlete. He's an Adidas athlete, and we could talk a little bit more about that if you want.
No, it's super interesting. I mean, it is kind of being the sponsor of the event, but then the athletes on the field are the ones that are, I feel like that's always been like a Nike thing. Like they've got the athletes, they've got the individuals, but of course nowadays, not necessarily the case.
Well, and we also have to I got to give a little bit of credit here. Under Armour, after all of this, Under Armour was the boot that scored the winning goal. The lone Under Armour athlete on Spain scored that winning goal in a Under Armour boot. So they had a pretty funny post too that was like, the winning boot doesn't wear pink or something like that. Mm-hmm. Like they kind of made a jab at all the other brands who've been doing the pink boots. So shout out to Under Armour for sneaking one in there.
That's great. That is great.
Jordan, I was just curious, were there any tactics, sports marketing tactics that emerged from this World Cup that surprised you, that's new to you, that you really enjoyed?
I thought, this isn't going to be an original idea. I like the guerrilla, stuff personally. And I think generally, like Nike, Adidas was great. Generally we're looking at the same thing constantly. It's like, I thought Adidas's brand film was amazing. It's still just a remix of and look, I adopt the phrase of there's nothing new under the sun. So everybody, my comments constantly is like, oh, well, this was like the Copa spot in '94 and whatever. It's like, dude, look, we've been doing this advertising thing for 60 years now. Like you can't, it's going to be very rare that you make up something new, which is why I appreciated at least Nike's attempt to do some wild ass 6-minute crazy behind the scenes breaking of the fourth wall. I thought that was a good attempt, by them. Adidas was kind of your standard playbook. Oh, we have these kids who are beating the adults and the legends. Like we've done that 100 times. And even Nike kind of made a joke about it at the end of theirs where that kid is about to score the winning goal and Erling Haaland dominates him and knocks him over. So I would say that's the kind of traditional stuff. I say that marketing starts when shit goes wrong. Excuse my language. But like for Levi's, I think that is a great case. Like Levi's is the official stadium sponsor of, the 49ers stadium and whatever else is happening. They do not get the FIFA World Cup rights. And so when they had to cover their logo, and then they just completely leaned into that and made it their campaign for the next couple of months, that to me is like genius marketing, reactive marketing. That's like, okay, we could call that a negative. We could say our logo is covered now for the hundreds of thousands of people who are going to come through here and all the millions of people who are going to see this on screen. Or we can pivot and like totally make that like we're in on the joke, and many more millions of people will appreciate that for not being an official sponsor. So I think the Levi's thing was really interesting. I love the Norwegian Airlines and the British Airways at the end, kind of jockeying back and forth and agreeing to, have a little friendly wager. I mean, that stuff is great. And then honestly, from a player brand standpoint, I think like Erling Haaland was like stole the show for everybody.
He's the best social media talent that's ever existed. This guy is like, he's created his own trend. He's developed an entire trend right now. I don't know if you see it like on social media, people will post and be like, life is crazy because I'm just sitting here in my garage and some guy named Haaland will comment on my post saying, nice. And he does it.
He'll jump in the comments.
He always does it. This guy comments on every single post. We reached out to him, Jordan. I did happen to reach out to him on DM on Instagram. He has not come back to us, but wanted to ask him to come on the show to explain to our audience of social media marketers how he's so good at social media.
Well, he's native. Okay, so the fact of the matter is, all these guys, 99% of them, they have their agent or their uncle or their mom running their social media account. They have no interest in it, and for good reason. You don't want to read a lot of the stuff that if you're a top athlete in the world, like things that are coming through. But he's socially media native. He's done this stuff before. He's had really interesting, like he's got a great YouTube series that went viral where he goes and visits this old lady's farm in the middle of England. He's getting raw honey and raw milk and fresh meat on this farm because he really takes care of his nutrition and his body. So I just think that's like, if you are socially native and just participate, I know we've moved to like interest media, in the Gary Vee thing these days, but it still is social media. I mean, and when you can be social, you can just punch way above your weight. And I think you can really capture an audience that way. So I think Haaland, from a personal brand standpoint, player brand, really stole the show this World Cup.
Yeah. It's interesting. JR was pulling up while you were talking about Levi's some data. Shout out Tracksuit, exclusive data partner of the show. But Levi's 90%, 91% awareness. Their competitor average is in the 74%. It looks like. So you think about that, like when you're in those rooms and strategizing to like do something like what Levi's did with that stunt, a part of it has to be, well, everyone's going to know that it's the logo. I know there was like a little bit of discourse on at least X that I was seeing of like, does the normal person really actually know that this was the Levi's logo that's covered up? Or is this just like marketing, LinkedIn, Twitter, PSYOP, like trying to say that it's bigger than it is? Where do you stand on that? Because like there are like the normal everyday people, and I don't actually know for sure if they would know right away if it was Levi's or not.
Well, let's be honest, guys. This whole show, this whole thing, everything we do is for the marketing insider PSYOP. You know what? There's a whole business there. That's the point. No one's actually doing marketing to connect with consumers. They're doing it to connect with their leadership so that they can get a promotion. Anyway, that's just the cynical nature of me. But I wish I were wrong. But I think, why do people appreciate our content generally when your content goes wider and my content goes wider? Because they find that stuff interesting. I think the average consumer does find it funny. They do find it interesting. I think what I've discovered over my content over the last 4 years is I think there's a lot of things that people will not actually move to Google or put into chat, but they wonder while they're watching a broadcast, or they wonder when they're thumbing through. And for whatever reason, I stumbled upon a whole content niche of basically explaining the things that people wonder while they're watching sports, but don't actually move to Google to ask, or there's no one on Google who would actually answer it. You know, why is there a giant sheet over the stadium thing over there? You know,
Right.
why are they all wearing pink boots, like, or cleats? Like, why is Cristiano Ronaldo wearing Puma? I thought he was just on a Nike ad. You know, like stuff like that. That people wonder, but maybe are not moving to investigate themselves. So I think the things like Levi's,
Yeah.
that type of stuff is really interesting for people who just wonder, and the casuals as well.
So interesting. I think that's an interesting way to look at like just content creation in general, is being the bridge between for the people for the things that they're interested about but won't make the jump to research themselves. But if it's fed to them, then
Yes.
they will engage. Very interesting.
Yes.
Jordan, appreciate the time. Thank you so much for joining us and imparting some wisdom. We'll be tracking on one of the betting apps, GTA 6 or 6G internet. Who you got?
Yeah, let's put in a bet on the poly market, you know.
Perfect. Thank you, Jordan. Appreciate
Yeah.
the time.
All right, y'all. Have a good one.
Thank you. That was Jordan Rogers. One of the just love getting to chat with Jordan.
Yeah, he
He's
knows
a
his
beast.
stuff.
The Podfathers. Check out all of Jordan's stuff. Follow him. Follow him on Instagram or LinkedIn or wherever. He posts really some of the best stuff, especially on sports marketing, which we all know is a huge deal these days, Gino.
That's right, Jack. That's right here. And I wanted to pivot over here to our ad read for Tatari. Round of applause to them, presenting sponsor this month, right, Jack?
That's right. Big deal.
All right, if you're an
Tatari
agency, you've had this conversation, your client's maxed out on paid social and search, and they're asking what's next. For a lot of brands, the answer is TV, but whether your agency is new to TV or already buying CTV, building a complete offering can mean adding more partners, more platforms, and more reporting complexity. Jack, take it over.
Yeah, Tatari gives agencies a simpler way in. Whether you want full service control or a more hands-on partnership where Tatari's team runs point, you plan, buy, and measure linear TV, streaming, and online video in one platform without handing off the client relationship or building a large specialized TV team. You keep the client relationship, create new revenue opportunities, and give clients another scalable channel when their existing media mix starts to plateau. And because Tatari buys directly from publishers, more of the budget goes toward media instead of unnecessary ad tech fees. Today, more than 400 plus brands and agencies trust Tatari to plan, buy, and measure TV. Take DAC, Gino.
Yep.
Here you go, case study alert. A full funnel media agency that used Tatari to bring linear and streaming together for its clients. They unlocked premium inventory that programmatic buying alone couldn't reach and saw double-digit growth in both customer accounts and revenue. So when a client asks, what should we do next? What should we test next? You have a stronger answer. Go to tatari.tv/growth to see how DAC did it. Shout out Tatari. Flawless ad read, by the way.
Nicely done. We're going to be working with them all month. Excited for that.
It's Tatari time, foo. Let's get into the 2-minute drill, Gino. It's the biggest ad news, biggest stories of the day. Let's kick it off. Our first story. Parasite diarrhea?
Yeah, Jack.
And Good Wipes is getting involved. How is Good Wipes
Listen,
getting
Jack,
in it here?
If you're one of the 5,100 cases of cycloposia parasite here that causes explosive diarrhea
Close
from
enough.
shredded lettuce, well, Good Wipes wants to help you out. They're offering a free pack. If you call the number here, that's 1-855-718-0338. You call them up, you got your troubles there this Sunday.
1-855-718-0338. So you like
break it
this?
down.
Yeah, I like this one. I saw this and I'm like, is this the right play? Is this a good move? Well, if you're like, people are getting sick or whatever, but you go in the comments section, people love it.
Gotta love it.
And to be honest with you, when I thought about it a little bit more, and here we go, yeah, this is
Wow,
Meredith.
just screaming
Meredith
online.
Deeth.
Jack is just yelling at people.
This is the brand lead for Good Wipes. I, of course, got in the mix there. But when you think about it, they are providing an actual solution. Like it's a real solution for something like this. I love it. I love when brands go for it. I think leaning into it, no brand better positioned to be the solution for consumers during these trying times than Good Wipes. What do you think?
I'm for it. I mean,
we wouldn't be talking about it.
yeah,
anymore.
absolutely. I'm absolutely for it here. I think they give you advice too. Like they talk you through it, maybe. I don't know if you're on the toilet.
Yeah, toilet. You gotta look for something to do when you're on the toilet. Let's be
You
honest.
call them up.
Good Wipes, interesting. They
Official
kind of like
cheap
came on the
assistants.
scene. Came on the scene recently with was it Olipop? where they came together, Good Wipes and Olipop around Coachella season, really bursted onto the scene as like a direct competitor really to Dude Wipes. Taking a different approach for the branding though, Gino, which I think, similar problem they're solving, but attacking it kind of in a different way when it comes to the brand and the creative storytelling. So I got to give it up to Meredith. I think she's watching, by the way.
Totally. Did we see anything from Dude Wipes on this? I'm not exactly sure. I'm just saying.
Our next story, new GM CMO alert. This is a big deal. GM, massive brand, a lot of card companies under there. Allison Witherspoon is your new CMO. She comes over from where, JR? Is it Nissan, I want to say?
Previously the CMO of Nissan, Jack, you are correct.
So what do you think here? GM, card company, of course, the auto industry in general is interesting right now. What do you think about this move?
So looking here, GMC and Buick. And, Jack, I think you had a really good LinkedIn comment asking her what type of car she would drive if she could only pick one for the rest of her life.
Yep.
And I went ahead and got into my design mode, and this is what I came up with here. I don't know if you guys can. This is going to be real.
Okay.
So, Allison, if you're watching this, my answer to that question would be the GMC 2026 2500 HD Denali Brake Entering Skull Edition.
Yeah. I mean, this is just badass. Look at the skull.
Yeah.
And then you get Brad. Interesting enough, Brad Audette got into the comment section as well underneath that comment, the CMO of Mazda. So you got a little bit of trench warfare here between two CMOs from different car companies. You got Brad Audette getting in there saying, hey, Mazda should be the car that you drive forever. Gino, I am interested to hear about your design. Do you think it's something that Allison would consider the Skull Bone Edition?
I mean, you have to think about it. You have to think about it from her perspective. The CMO position is a tough job here. I think, appeasing and appealing to the leading new ad trade B2B live stream and advertising with thrice weekly with this custom truck could help.
It can't hurt. There's no way it hurts, right?
No.
I think that it's such a hard CMO position to be in because you're talking about a company that's been around for ever. It's very hard to get significant sales lifts year over year when you're it's a game of inches. I feel like at that point when you're at that stage of maturity for a company.
Yep.
Best of luck, Allison. Feel free to come on the show to educate us
and talk about a brand that's been around forever, Coca-Cola. And you have the headline that you wrote here, a rebrand? I question mark.
Maybe I don't have the design eye. I don't know if I just don't have a design eye, but I spent a lot of time trying to figure out what the big difference here. I believe there's a new typeface being introduced, Gino. Do you have more for me? I would love to hear your thoughts.
I think you got it absolutely right.
Okay.
New typeface here. It's a large brand. It's just kind of every once in a while you just got to get everybody on the same page and restart.
I think the agency behind it, I'm really sorry, I don't have it off the top of my head, maybe it's in this article, but they, brand that's been around for 125 years, they said, what do you do with that? You don't rebrand, you just kind of double down on the best parts of the brand. The design, sickos probably love this. I saw some stuff on the internet comparing it to the font that Marlboro uses.
Okay.
Agency is JKR. Shout out to JKR.
Yeah.
And
let's, Jack, this is all fun here. We're not experts, so let's just have some fun here.
Okay.
I actually did some background homework on this. I want JR to pull up my favorite version of the Coca-Cola logo, 1890.
Okay.
To 1891. Let's look up the 1890 Coca-Cola. I'm calling this the Dreamcatcher logo. Look how sick that is. That was for 1 year. They had this logo here.
Look at that.
And then I got thinking, what about Pepsi? Okay. We can't talk about Coca-Cola without Pepsi, right, Jack? Well, 1893 Pepsi logo. Let's throw it up here. And you might be thinking, that's not Pepsi, that's Brad's drink. What the hell is that? And then I looked it up that Brad was, the creator's name was Caleb Bradham over in North Carolina, creator of Pepsi. And I thought that was interesting. North Carolina.
Interesting. Well, I like that original Coca-Cola logo. I like that. Not minimalist. Next up, a big story here in the agency world. Callan has been making some moves. This is an exclusive, breaking and entering exclusive right now. Callan has made 9 new creative hires, and they got this video to prove it. Let's just listen and watch.
New business employees. Tons of new employees. ready to make the ads. New employees feeling pretty rad about business. For the business, yeah. They're new employees. Ads.
And that's just Calum for you. It's one of the more bizarre agencies you'll ever come across. With that said, though, Gino, does Calum have the best branding of any agency alive right now?
Best branding? I think it's up there. I think they do a good job. I don't know. That's a tough one.
Distinct, unique branding, maybe?
Yeah, I guess
that
of their ethos and how they, they're...
Even like that video, I almost was like immediately like, oh, this is Calum.
Yeah.
Even if you didn't show me because of like the costumes and
of course
the music and all that.
Yes.
I think that they do a very good job compared to every other agency in the world of like at least creating something that's distinct.
And it caught
big move.
And people like it. And 9 new hires here. This is the mark of the 9 new hires here. Brian Culp, Katie Barrow, Ellie Ferd, Jeffrey Hodgson, CDs from TBWA, and people coming over from the Martin agency, Goodby. They're flocking.
Yeah,
to Cal and the Austin-based agency.
Yeah,
maybe it's that quirkiness.
It is. Check out Michelle Blazer's profile in The Pollinator, her newsletter that she does. Michelle Blazer, she just talked with Craig Allen, founder, about all of this.
Distinctive agency brand.
Trademark. That was the 2-minute drill, Gino. Well done. What a show. What an interview slate that we have in store for everyone. I'm excited about it. You should be too. Our first guest is a professor that went to Streamer University for the 2nd year in a row, Sydney Gallop. But Sydney is kind of a beast in the industry, Gino.
Sydney Gallop is a titan of the industry, constantly pushing it and challenging the industry for the better diversity, inclusion, getting females in the leadership slot here. She's made a lot of momentum for this industry, and she's not afraid to blow shit up. She is the Michael Bay of business. Let's bring her on, Sydney Gallop. Welcome to the show.
Delighted to be here, guys.
Sydney, I just want to start. I saw your Instagram video. You were able to enjoy what looked like a cocktail in the airport lounge. I just want to say how happy I am for you. Streamer University, I imagine it's a long week. It's probably a very rewarding and exciting week. But just explain that feeling of getting that cocktail at the airport lounge after a week of Streamer University.
Oh my God, total joy, because basically Streamer University is a dry campus. Kai is very strict about no drinking, no smoking either. Obviously, a lot of these Streamer students are actually under 21. And so I had a week with no cocktails, no martinis. And so it was a total joy to get to the Virgin Atlantic Clubhouse yesterday and go, hallelujah, I can have a drink.
It's incredible. So Sydney, this is your 2nd year teaching at Streamer University. How did you get involved in this?
Well, both last year and this year, the answer is extremely unexpectedly. So last year, Kai Cenat announced Streamer University, and I was very curious. I went to streameruniversity.com, like a million other people, where he was calling for students and professors to apply. And when I landed on the site at that time, the number 1 course listed was sex education. So I thought, well, that's interesting. Then I thought, what the hell, ain't never going to happen, but I'm going to apply to be a professor at Streamer University to teach a class on how to make love, not porn. So I filled in the form on the site. They had a different application process this year. But last year, you filled in the form, you made a little video talking about why you should be a professor. And I was so convinced it was never going to happen that I completely forgot about it. Also because at the time, I was having enormous challenges. Make Love Not Porn had been debanked 3 times in 2 months. I was going through hell business-wise. So unlike the million other people, I was not hanging on Kai's stream waiting for the announcement of who'd been chosen. In fact, that night, a kind friend, I'd had the week from hell, she said, right, I'm taking you out, I'm pouring a ton of martinis down your throat, which she did. I staggered home, drunk, went on social media and went, fuck me, I'm a professor at Streamer University. And what was funny about watching the announcement back after the event, the video on TikTok was, so Kai revealed the professors with a board with like post-it notes over their names. And everybody else was a wildly well-known streamer. So he's going, DDG, Erin's going, yeah, India Love, yeah, Cooking with Kaya, yeah, Cindy Gallop. Deathly silence. And Kai went, don't know who she is? That's good. It shows I'm bringing new streamers to the table, which was wonderful. So, I had this completely surreal experience of going and teaching at Stream University, and it was absolutely amazing. I had a wonderful time. So I was watching, this year's, Kai had live auditions in different, cities around the US. And obviously this year, many more people knew about it. So it was, wildly popular. And I went, great, Stream University 2026, look forward to seeing what comes out. Then last Monday, I got a text from Brianna, Kai's assistant, saying, Cindy, what does your week look like? We've had a professor drop out. If you are able, we would love you to come back and teach your class again. And I went, fuck me, clearing my schedule. So literally last Monday, I cleared my entire week. I was meant to fly to London last Friday night. I pushed that back to yesterday. And 24 hours later, I was on a plane to Stream University 2026. So in both cases, completely unexpected, but extremely welcome.
It's just an incredible story. I mean, I'm curious about what your pitch was. What was your pitch to be a professor at Streamer University the first time around?
Honestly, it's the same as my pitch for Make Love Not Porn generally. It's never been more important for especially young people to know how to make love not porn in an era where, what I identified 17 years ago when I launched Make Love Not Porn at TED, the fact that porn is now default sex education in the absence of open, healthy conversation, education around sex. I went, streamer, you needs this. And I am eternally impressed that Kai Cenat agreed.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm curious about your interactions with Kai. So you had a chance to speak with him. So curious, just someone who's been able to build such an unbelievable platform. Would just love to hear your interactions with Kai and the rest of the team.
Do you know? And actually, I posted about this on my socials last week. But I was blown away by the same thing this year as I was last year. Everybody at Streamer University is so nice. And I make that point because from the outside, what you see is a lot of shenanigans, for the stream, for the content, for the chat, including a lot of manufactured shenanigans. But I can tell you that Kai Cenat, who, by the way, he's only 24. Wow. He is so impressive. He is absolutely lovely. And he's so impressive in what he's conceived and built and runs with Stream University. But everybody, the other professors, all the students are absolutely lovely people. I didn't know what I was walking into last year. I was a bit nervous. It was an amazing experience. I was a bit nervous this year, but honestly, everybody is so nice.
Incredible. And I think what we have the benefit of doing now, Sydney, is, you having the advertising and marketing influence that you have in our platform here. I think it's so important for people to understand the prevalence of streaming. I guess for the CMOs out there or the agency executives out there, why should they care about streaming now?
Gosh, do you know, guys, I came back from last year's Streamer U, the white hot epicenter of streamer culture. I've been, evangelicizing about streaming ever since. I continue to be gobsmacked that our industry is spectacularly failing to see the opportunity that streaming represents, especially because, again, with the second year of Streamer U, I've had the chance to see how it works from the inside. By the way, I'm not a streamer. I've had a Twitch account for years, but I watch other people, although I'm now thinking about starting. But first of all, streaming is fascinating as a medium because it is literally all about what our industry really needs, which is authenticity. Okay, you cannot be a committed streamer and not be authentic. And by the way, I sat in on as many of the other professors' classes as I could. So I was listening to huge streamers like Agent, like Ludwig, Sinner, Valkyrie. And this was a key part of their advice, as it was mine in my class, because I talked about personal brand building as well. They all said, you cannot put up a facade when you're a streamer because people, rumble it very, very quickly. So first of all, complete authenticity in a way that, you as a brand know what you will get much more clearly than some influencer who's put this image out and then does something really dissonant with your brand values. Secondly, what I think a lot of people don't understand as well is that the very nature of streaming is that you build a really interesting, very positive parasocial relationship with your chat. And by the way, obviously, parasocial relationship is something that one has. But, what I saw, because the great thing about streaming you is, you can sit in your dorm room and you can see absolutely everything that is happening all around campus simultaneously. So I was dipping in and out of, and people's chat are so supportive. I watched Markel Washington training the Stream University cheer squad. He had his work cut out and he was quite depressed after the first session. His chat was going, Markel, you're doing a brilliant job. You just need to cut the ones who don't take it seriously. And I saw that replicated in many different scenarios where there is a really interesting relationship. And obviously, when you engage with a streamer, you are engaging with literally millions of people simultaneously. So in terms of reach, that's brilliant. And then importantly, what I would say to brands is, don't think about this as got a partner with the big streamers. You can grow a relationship with up and coming streamers. And I want to encourage CMOs especially to do that with women streamers, because streaming is a male dominated, arena. And there are so many brilliant women with really interesting angles where collaborative partnerships where the brand grows and the streamer grows together is a huge opportunity.
Yeah, it sounds similar to, there's a lot of momentum around like going for engagement and building a small, tight-knit audience versus going for reach alone. And it feels like the way that you're explaining it with like streaming kind of creating better parasocial relationships, it feels like that's how you build a community really like effectively and almost probably quicker than just a typical social strategy.
Absolutely. And also, with streaming, because, the streamer is living their life, as a brand, there's an opportunity to do some really interesting collabs that are about making things happen in the real world that you can then show people and have your audiences see, creating experiences that are not the usual influencer thing where they turn up to your event or you send them this. You can do things in real time organically that I think offer much more interesting opportunities than the kind of set pieces to influence the brand world.
Yeah, and think about all the clips that come from it too. It's not just the live stream. It's like
that's what I try to tell people, Sydney, when we do this freaking live stream. Come on, people, wake up! I'm trying to, Sydney, like half of this is just trying to get people to believe in us.
Guys, you're right. And do you know, because I'm too ahead of my time for my own good, quite frankly. Many years ago, I was talking to brands about the power of live video, but back in the day when it wasn't called live streaming, but you could absolutely do, live video feeds. And, I said at the time, one of the best ways to, build relations with your consumers is to show them your behind the scenes, give them an intimate glimpse into what really goes on. They will feel privileged and nobody else is doing it. And now this opportunity is even huger today. And our industry, honestly, is seriously lagging behind. I'm absolutely amazed.
Yeah, well, you're gonna have to fix that. Gino, anything else from you?
No. I think I'd love to have Cindy on again.
Cindy, maybe if you get that live stream, if you start streaming yourself, let us know. We can hop on. We can hop in the chat, of course.
I totally will do, because honestly, several streamers said to me, "Why on earth are you not streaming?" People would love your content. I mean, I was very pleased with how my class was received, actually. I got amazing feedback, not just from the students there, but also from people in their chat who then messaged me separately to say, that was fantastic. So I may well start doing that.
Well, we'll be on the lookout. Let us know. But Cindy Gallop, thank you so much for joining the show and talking about your experience at Streamer U, and just appreciate your time.
It's been a pleasure, guys. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you. Cindy Gallop. Come on, live stream, people.
Amazing. Amazing.
I was going to ask her for some consultation there. Maybe send us a couple the slide decks from. You said this the other day. We got to apply next year to Streamer U.
Absolutely.
Can you imagine how sick that would be?
We'll be there. I wonder where it's at. I don't think they disclosed that, right?
Yeah. But we can find out, and then we'll get into it. Yeah, we gotta get the Streamer U, brother.
For sure. This episode is brought to you by Tracksuit as well here. Quick gut check. How confident do you feel walking into a pitch? Well, here's what everyone isn't telling you. The work gets better and easier when it's actually backed by data. Tracksuit tracks brand health continuously, awareness, consideration, competitive position, brand perception, updated every single month. No waiting for an annual dip, no cobbled together proxies, no pretending a 6-month-old deck that still holds up, Jack.
Just current data on tap for your whole team, so you're pitching with receipts instead of a wish and a prayer. If you're in the business of strategy, it's kind of the whole game. Tracksuit up and running in 30 days. Check them out at gotracksuit.com. If you're watching the Jordan Rogers interview, we pulled up some Tracksuit stats. Exclusive data partner of the Breaking and Entering show. Big deal for us. Thank you to Tracksuit for supporting the show. Let's get on with it, Gino. A big slate of guests. This is what we call a mega stream in the biz. We have essentially a panel here. Talia Bender-Small, Evin Shutt. Those are your two executives here. The Talia's at the female Quotient, Evin, global CEO of 72 and Sunny. They're teaming up to create and launch an executive apprenticeship program for athletes, specifically Olympian athletes, from the She Weekend that they just put on with Flavor Flav, celebrating the women athletes from the Olympics. We also have two Olympians that will be joining the show. Mystique Rowe, she does the skeleton racing,
That's
Gino.
crazy.
Stomach down, face down, just going down the, I guess what would you call it, like the barrel almost? And then we have Erin Jackson, Olympian and gold medal winner. She won the gold medal in the 500-meter speed skating. So let's bring all of them in and talk about this new executive apprenticeship program. Welcome everyone to the show.
Hi guys.
Oh, this actually looks fantastic. I don't know if you guys can see, but shout out to the production team, because this 4-box look actually, this looks pretty good. I like the looks of this, Gino.
Let's kick this thing off here. Super excited about this. I'm going to start with Evin here. Evin, can you explain what's going on? What is the program? And Talia, if you want to chime in as well, we need some context here. Jack did a great job in the intro, but let's hear it from you both.
That was a pretty good description. Coming off She Weekend, which was just this past weekend, so I'm slowly getting my voice back from yelling and cheering on all the Olympians. But Flavor Flav's weekend of hosting all of the U.S. female Winter Olympians from Milan Cortina. One of the things they did so smartly was it wasn't just a celebration, it was also what do the athletes want? And there was a lot of conversation about what's next. Or while I'm training, I also need a job and I need to prepare for what's next in a long-term career. And so we teamed up with the female Quotient from 72 and Sunny to commit to 2 apprenticeships each and share this program with other organizations so that we can bring these incredible athletes who know how to win, who know how to perform, who know how to be teammates and leaders into our organizations, expose them to anything inside our company. That could be if they want to be a designer, that could be if they want to be a CFO. Obviously, all of those things sit inside 72 and Sunny and the female Quotient. And launched the program this weekend. We're having conversations with Erin and Mystique and many other Olympians about it and why it's important. And we're figuring it out. We'll work around their training schedules, whatever they need. And shout out to Joe Lewis Company who produced it. They're the first one to say we're into. So there's now 6 different apprentice opportunities open.
Incredible. I think Well, I also want to say that having the Olympians in the office, you're going to learn a lot from them too. I think that's so. I want to pick their brains on some advice myself later in this. But anything you got immediately from Jack?
No, I mean it's. I have a lot of questions, obviously. But Talia, can you explain to us, why? What do you think is, unique about this program, and why do you think that now is the right time for something like this?
Yeah, great to see you guys. Thanks for having us on. Building on what Evin was saying, we talked to so many women athletes and they are so focused on their sport and they don't have a lot of time to figure out what is next, but they have the best skill sets to be leaders. They are determined, they are competitive, especially with themselves, they're collaborative. So one of the things we always talk about is women athletes are the best future people in the workplace. So we're really, really excited about this. And especially at a company like ours and 72 and Sunny, there's so much opportunity to use their skill set, whether it's, one of the things we heard a lot at She Weekend from some of the top Olympians that coming out of Milan and Cortina is they have such a hard time getting brand deals, getting exposure with brands. And if you come into a company like ours, you actually can have the opportunity to work with brands every day, understand how they're making investments, understand how media plans work, understand positioning, going to market. So that's one example of many areas of the business, but there's nothing like getting hands-on exposure. And the other part of this, I can speak for myself too. I actually started as an intern with Shelley Zalis many years ago. So I know what it's like to start and build and grow at an organization. Is we could actually create careers for these athletes, like real lifetime careers. So we're very, very passionate about this, and we're just in awe of the athletes like Mystique and Erin want to support and help in any way with their ongoing journey.
Yeah, it's incredible here. And I think I have a stat here. The skeleton, Jack pulled this up, so credit to you. I'm going to steal this.
Yeah, I got it from somewhere else, so credit to wherever I got it from.
In the skeleton, you're going 70 miles per hour head first. First off, is that correct?
It can be 70, could be 80 plus. I've gone 83.
and I think it's worth noting that first off, that's insane and also so impressive at the same time. And I think like managing that stress and like going head first into something like this, like what advice do you have for us, the advertising executives out there that might be watching this, and like how do you kind of like manage that stress heading into a big competition? Some takeaways for some of us here.
Well, honestly, the most stressful part is the training because you're trying to learn and try new things, and it's a gamble because we only have 6 training runs before we actually get to the race. So actually, when I get to the line for the race, that's my most calm because I did all the work I needed to do, and that's execution time. So by the time it's race day, this is my me time. This is my chill. I'm not sure. My brain literally is empty. I'm just going. So I think the big takeaway is if you did the work, you can like trust in execution. It's going to happen.
Yeah,
that's
I
what's
don't
up.
know.
That's what's
There's
up.
no amount of training that would prepare me to go.
Check this out.
I mean, it's incredible. The audience is now watching Mystique go down there at potentially 83 miles an hour. And so, Erin, I want to ask you. You also go fast, obviously, speed skating. But I guess I want to hear more about the conversations that, you're speaking with other athletes. You're obviously around other athletes a lot that are probably in similar positions. So for the people that aren't in those circles of Olympians and athletes, what are those conversations that are happening, particularly around like what happens with your lives outside of sports?
Yeah, this is actually a huge discussion that we have, like at least quarterly, like through our team and then connecting with other sports, especially around the Salt Lake 34 Olympics coming up. And yeah, it can be kind of stressful as an athlete, like you're spending all of your time, 24/7 basically devoted to this sport. And then it can be a little nerve-wracking thinking about what you're going to do after sport. So I think programs like this where athletes can kind of start getting that experience and start building these connections and these relationships, it's invaluable, and I'm really excited that this is happening because, yeah, it's the things we've been talking about. So really, really awesome.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
I've done 600 interviews with advertising founders, CCOs, CEOs, executives in the past couple years here, and I've heard some pretty crazy stories. But to the Olympians on the call here, what are some of the craziest things, the wildest things, the weirdest things you have done to become more successful?
Let's see. I would say the thing I probably get laughed at the most for is aqua jogging, because I'm a little bit older in my sport and I have a few injuries. So to kind of take some pressure off of running all the time or biking all the time, I'll do a bit of aqua jogging with my fellow old teammates. And you'll see the other kids at the pool kind of staring at us and saying we're in the way and, I don't know, making fun of us. But you got to do what you got to do.
Aqua jogging.
That's great. There's like that's pretty funny. I mean, I'm not very good in water. Gino and I grew up in like the suburbs of Chicago. We don't like go in the pools or anything. So I really also like probably am more so water jogging than swimming. So I completely understand that. Mystique, anything from you, like crazy training stories?
I will say there was one track a couple years ago, Koenigsegg, that it was my first time going, and there was like a double, it was like a Europa Cup ICC, so there was plenty of sleds going down, and we did a track walk. Normally we're walking in the track, but for some reason this time we couldn't, so we were walking on the outside, which is very different. You can't see the curves, you can't see the ice profiles. Long story short, my first run down, I'm getting through a Kreisel, which is a 360, and I misjudged the timing of the waves, and I created a fourth wave and got thrown out. And I call it the rotisserie spin. So I was actually standing upright, rotating this way, going through the doodles, and it was a little nerve-wracking. So I spent the next few days camping out for hours in that section and working on the timing. And yeah, so it's pretty much the name of the game, because we have so few runs that watching is kind of our visualization. It's kind of a really big deal. So I mean, it's winter, so I'm spending hours out in the cold setting and timing sleds. So I'm watching hundreds of sleds come through just to get ready for the race. But yeah, just timing the elements is kind of the name of the game for us, unfortunately.
I mean, if you can prepare for that, nobody has any excuse for like not being unprepared for like a pitch in advertising. Yeah, that's it.
I'll be honest with you. I don't want to hear any pitch complaints.
Yeah,
Never again.
Never again. I want to ask Evin. You know, this stat from 2020 EY report, I thought is just fascinating to me, that 52% of women in the C-suite have played sports at a university level. And knowing how hard it is, like, to, you know, for Mystique and Erin to be like, you're at the height of your profession, and how much that correlates to then being able to have success in the C-suite. Evin, what is like your hypothesis as to why that might be?
Well, I think so much of it is commitment and determination, and also knowing how to fail and come back from it, right? You don't get to a Division I level of athletics in college without having failed, without having been challenged. Many of these athletes, you know, you're the best in high school, and then you get to college and you're not the best, and you have to work your way back up and what it takes to get there. And that's just talking university level. I mean, Erin and Mystique, the Olympics, the Paralympians, they're on a totally different level, the elite in the world at what they do. And so there's a real attention to detail, a relentlessness. You know, you guys know we always say play to win at 72 and sunny. Is there a better example of that than what an Olympian is and what they go through to be the best and to represent their country in times of pressure? I think all of those things play into it, and the ability to manage the stress and stay focused.
And then my last question for Talia, like, this is yet another example of like, I think the female quotient is probably the best resource or just community in at least in marketing and advertising that we see. So for you all, where do you hope that this goes? Like, what are you hoping this can turn into? What are the ambitions when it comes to on the female quotient side?
Yeah, thank you so much. You know, I think, first of all, wanted to be really loud about this because a lot of companies talk a lot about what they can do to get involved in women's sports, how they can support athletes. And this is really not that hard of a commitment. This is something I think Evin and I both continue to offer to women athletes. And we hope that lots of other companies raise their hand to do the same. There were over 100 women athletes at She Weekend this weekend. Let's get them all apprenticeships. Maybe we can even have one of them help out with your show, which would be super fun.
Easy.
Easy, but
Sports marketing
you know,
segment.
yeah. But you know, I think they're going to learn so much, but we are going to learn so much. We're going to learn about you all asked Mystique and Erin about their commitment and doing really hard things and going into rooms where you don't know a lot of people. We were just talking about like how there's so much opportunity for the women athletes to build community and meet each other, because a lot of them, they show up across the world, but they don't actually know a lot of each other. So I think that there's so much we can all learn from each other. So we're really, really excited about this. I think it's an easy way for companies to get more involved and raise their hand and just say yes.
I love it. Where can companies go to get involved?
They can email Talia or myself.
Golden.
Amazing.
For
Big
now.
call to action by Gino there. Well, thank you all so much for joining the show. Appreciate this as always. It's not every day that we're able to speak with Olympians, so it's been a pleasure. Thank you all so much.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
Bye.
thank
Good to see
you.
you guys.
Boom. Fantastic.
That was sick.
I can never be an Olympic athlete.
I was going to say, you have no chance.
There's no.
You are pushing 30.
You got to start a family, buddy.
I got these readers now.
Dude just yaps into a camera. Look at that. Look at this. I don't know how I feel about this. There you go. Gino, yeah, shout out to our presenting sponsor, Tatari. And our last interview here, if you have access to cellular data, you saw content from Fanatics Fest this past weekend. How does it all come together? It's something, Fanatics itself as a brand has exploded over the last few years. And Fanatics Fest, I think, is the best manifestation of that. So to talk about it, the behind the scenes, the creative, the content behind it, we've got Matthew Lowe, who is a creative director at Fanatics. Matthew, welcome to the show.
Thank you guys. Pumped to be here. Olympians, CEOs, presidents. I don't know how I ended up on this list, but excited to talk to you guys about it.
You know, I want to talk about this. I got a couple notes here.
First up, Matthew, can we just what do you think about, can you creative direct Gino's face right now with these glasses? I don't know if you know this, but he's debuting a new set of ocular devices here.
They're my readers.
It looks like you've got some size 5 font below you that you're trying to read at the little bottom of the glasses over there.
Mm-hmm.
I write small.
He writes small and he can't see. It's one of the worst matchups made in the universe.
Well, that's why I have my readers now.
I need to know, is there a prescription on those?
Yeah, I think it's like +1 on this thing, or like the reader version of it. I just got them on Amazon over the counter, but no free ads.
I like them. I respect the glasses.
Thank you. Rob Gronkowski was dumped in a vat of cane sauce. You got Justin Bieber versus Tom Brady and Logan Paul in ping pong. Ryan Reynolds was there. Russell Wilson had a giant snake around his head. And you had 200,000 fans. What the heck is going on with Fanatics Fest? What is this thing?
Yeah, I mean, the best way to manifest it is it's a playground for sports lovers. If you love sports, you need to be there. It's Disney World in the Javits Center for 4 days for sports lovers, for people who collect cards, jerseys, love their teams. It's pretty amazing to see. It was my first time there. I joined the Fanatics events team in February after 11 years at BBDO, kind of working my way up there. And it's a pretty amazing event. You can write up all these plans, come up with all these ideas, and then you have Justin Bieber impromptu show up and doing a concert. So of course we try and plan some content, some stunts with these athletes. And then I think the gold moments and the best ones are the unscripted little things. Yeah, Russell Wilson showing up with a snake around his neck and letting that play out and making sure you've got content creators there to capture it and turn it to gold.
And just before we dive in further, so what's your role specifically with this fest?
Yes, so I joined, like I just said, 6 months ago. This is year 3 of Fanatics Fest. The first 2 years, we've been growing, figuring out how to do this bigger and better. And they hadn't had a creative director on their team yet. So they had a visual identity. They were still trying to figure out how we tell the story, how we turn this into a content engine. And that's what I came in to do. Immediately hit the ground running. Every piece of signage that went into the building, my team had to approve. The majority of the social content coming out from our handles, my team has to approve. Mm-hmm. We're planning athlete stunts. We're planning, stunts leading up to the event. We did a Disney and Roger Goodell collaboration. So we had Roger Goodell FaceTime with Mickey Mouse to sell tickets, because at the event we did the first ever Disney fan draft to announce a champion hoodie line with Disney and NFL characters. So my role is kind of trying to find these two things that shouldn't exist and bring them together at Fanatics Fest for the fans, and telling the story to the masses of why you need to be here.
So you said it earlier. I think it's on everyone's mind. Like, how much of these moments are manufactured versus how much of the moments are truly organic and you don't know that they're happening?
It's a pretty even split. I think anyone who's worked with talent knows you can come up with a plan, and then when they get there, they're going to ultimately want to do their own thing. So we work with our talent team, one of the best in the business, and we know who's going to be there. We know their schedule, and we plan around that. And then we also know that things will shift. So if Russell Wilson's going to be there, he's competing in what we call Fanatics games. It's where 50 of the top athletes and celebrities in the world face against 50 fans for the chance to win $1 million. We know he's going to do his superstar entrance, which is where he walks out to a WWE track down there, kind of superstar entrance. We did not know he's bringing a snake, but we know that that's kind of a runway for a stunt. So we set up all our talent to be in a situation where their cameras on, we're ready to document, and then their personality, brings it to life in however they want.
And then capture all of it, and then capturing all of that. Is it what's the strategy between, because you bring a ton of content creators, obviously, and I'm curious about the strategy of trusting that you have enough content creators that everything will get documented anyways, versus the Fanatics social team covering these things.
Yeah, again, two different perspectives. So during the event, again, we have 500 athletes. We have around 150 live podcasts and panels over about 6 or 7 stages. So LeBron James came Thursday and Friday. He did an episode of The Shop, an episode of Mind the Game. He's on a stage. And while that's happening, you have Novak Djokovic on another stage with Kevin Hart doing an episode as cold as balls. While that's happening, you have a 5-year-old buying their first trading card from Topps. While that's happening, you have someone, a 6-year-old dressed up as their favorite WWE superstar. So it's impossible to cover all of that with 5 people. So yeah, we bring it in. There's the Fanatics Fest handle and there's the Fanatics handle, and we all work as kind of one team here to do this whole content capture together. The Fanatics team brings about 100 creators, and we sit in a little war room. And as these events are happening, we send them all out. We content capture. They upload all the videos. We're then back in the room editing, picking the best moments, captioning, and getting out. It's pretty impressive to see for the first time. I think we saw the success now knowing, I think for, like you said, for 96 hours, for those 4 days, if you didn't see something coming out of Fanatics Fest, you either didn't have a phone or you live under a rock. Because I think it was pretty impossible. You shouted out some of the moments. I think one that you missed was Messi came to our event. In what world does that happen? Where the FIFA press conference, Messi, Rodri, the 2 captains of the teams, are there. You have Brady on stage, Djokovic on stage, Durant on stage, asking them questions. It's really an insane content engine, but everything coming out is amazing. And I think my team's challenge is the 4 days writes itself, but now how do we take all of that content and have it live for the next year, 2 years, onwards?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I was going to say that because there's one event per year and it's been growing. You had around 200,000 fans that showed up to the Javits Center, but it's one event per year, correct?
Yeah, so Fanatics Fest is one event, 4 days. It's usually in June. We moved it to July this year to line up with the World Cup. And we actually produced the ESPYs this year too. So it was ESPYs on Wednesday, MLB All-Star Game, into Fanatics Fest 4 days, Yankees Dodgers at Yankee Stadium, FIFA finals on that Sunday. If you love sports, that is the Mecca right there. Jay-Z the week before at Yankee Stadium, bringing it to New York and having everything around it just ensures you have the athletes, you have the celebrities, and something like Justin Bieber showing up is a testament to you build a freaking awesome event and people want to stop by.
Usually people leave an advertising agency to get something a little bit more consistent, a little bit safer, a little bit easier. You might have picked the most wild swap out that I've ever heard with this event here, going from an ad agency. How's that transition for you been? I'm sure it's fulfilling, but can you speak to some specifics?
Yeah, top level, it's been amazing. I think in the 6 months, I've put out over 600 pieces of content, which is insane. But I would be remiss if I didn't say, like, my 11 years at BBDO in agency life was the perfect training ground to be prepared to kind of go out and do this for a brand like Fanatics. As you know, you've had every one of my old bosses on the show. So I was able to learn from Lou Bars, Greg Hahn, CBH, Bianca, Kevin Mulroy, Danilo. I'm sure I'm missing 5 to 10 others. But to your point, yeah, all of them had the same trajectory at BBDO and then left to start Mischief, go do their own things at larger agencies. And I think for me, I was at BBDO 11 years. It was either stay at BBDO and work my way up and, hopefully become CCO one day, or try something totally different and, work my way up this ladder. But I think the getting my hands dirty is something I, have always enjoyed. So the majority of the content coming out from this weekend, like I'm there shooting it. I suddenly have become a content creator. I am a writer by trade, but I was approving all the signage. So now I'm an art director. The teams are more nimble, but the freedom to go and do what you want, the autonomy to go do what you want. At BBDO, I was one of 100 extremely talented creatives. On the events team, it's me and one other person. I collaborate closely with the other creatives on our other business verticals, but the autonomy to do what you want, tell a story is kind of a free as long as the team is happy and the story is great. So it's been amazing. I'd almost use this as the forum to tell others to, like, hey, do it, go out on a limb, try something new. Worst case, you don't like it, doesn't succeed, go back to the agency life. It'll always be there. But yeah, it's been pretty fulfilling trying something, to your point, totally different and maybe like not a vertical kind of climb or trajectory where I thought I was going to go. And then, the Fanatics team reached out and I was like, you know what? It's a no-brainer. Let's give it a shot.
What can people learn? I mean, I think everyone who works in brand marketing has a little bit of envy as to the way that, like, Fanatics can take over the internet for an entire weekend. Of course, not everyone has the luxury of having, like, the biggest names in the world all kind of descending upon this event and having so much. But are there things that brand marketers can take away, particularly when it comes to social content and creating things that create a buzz around particularly an event, that you think you can share with them?
Put your fans first. Like, for so many times when I was on the agency side, some of those clients get in the way of, like, ultimately creating good work because they think the audience cares about the message they want to say. And a lot of times, sure, you got to get the cell phone deal is out, or the price of your product is XYZ. But just make fun content that your audience, your fans, your niche core group want to interact with. And, like, the sky's the limit. I think, to your point, like, the content we are putting out of this show is not a go buy a jersey on Fanatics. It is look at the amazing stuff our brand does. Look at these awesome stories. And, like, oh, wow, that happened at Fanatics Fest. Like, let me go to their website. What's happening there? But the less you sell and the more storytelling you do and the more you double down on your audience, your fans, your group, and prioritize them, I think they also appreciate that. And, like, it'll come back tenfold.
Love that. Put your fans first. My last question is, I got to ask about the Tom Brady slap. Where were you kind of moment. So this is kind of like a wild thing, obviously, and you have the moment. It feels very like WWE-esque. You got two massive personalities and celebrities there. That moment in particular, is that something you got the social team, like, that's going to be a big moment, but just capturing that as kind of the thing that I think feels like probably the thing that probably generated the most buzz coming out of the weekend?
Yeah, I think we had 4 top moments. Bieber at the show completely broke the internet. You said it before, Gronk, going into a vat of cane sauce, broke the internet. FIFA press conference with Messi and Rodri, the 2 teams, broke the internet. And yeah, the last one was the slap. That, again, to what we were talking about before, you can't script those things, but you can know Logan Paul and Brady have beef. They were in the same room. Let's put them on a panel together, because if you put them on a panel together, something will happen. So you put them on a panel together, you get them up close, And yeah, you can try for these moments, but I think the organic, and like my team, I've never done this large scale event planning before. My team is some of the best in the business at being able to orchestrate the stages, the content, the people we put up. Something I heard a few times from my CEO, Lance Fensterman, and Mike Armstrong, our CMO, is what makes our show so special and different is you're not putting 4 athletes on a stage together. We've seen that. That's been done. You're putting an athlete, content creator, a musician, you're putting different talent together, because hearing all of their stories and their experiences on whatever the topic is, like that's the interesting stuff that hasn't happened before. And yeah, when you get Brady and Logan Paul on the stage, like you could almost bet something will happen, and you don't have to plan it much more than that, which is great.
My last question, I guess, around that too is these athletes celebrities are doing these like kind of like crazy stunty things, very much like showing their personalities in a position that they normally don't do. Like, I don't know, like I wouldn't expect Russell Wilson to like carry a snake around his neck or like do all this stuff, or Gronkowski to jump into a vat of cane sauce. Is there something about Fanatics and like the event and the brand that makes athletes and celebrities feel like it's okay, like it's fun to do these kind of things?
If you asked our team year one, they'd be like, no shot. Like, no one wants to be here. They don't know what this is. What are we doing? Thankfully, so yeah, Lance Fensterman, the event CEO, came from Comic-Con. He essentially started Comic-Con. And Michael Rubin, to, however smart he is and, the genius he is, he was like, there are all of these fan shows. There's Comic-Con. Music has South by Southwest. Car shows have car shows. There are food festivals. Like, there is no event for sports fans. And so he put this on year one, some trepidation. Not everyone, understood it. The leagues didn't totally understand the buy-in. Year two, athletes started to get it. They were like, oh, this thing's pretty cool. I can come, I can see my fans, I can engage with them. And then what we just saw this past weekend is like, not only do they want to come multiple days. They want to come with snakes around their necks, because I think they understand the content is just as important for them as it is for us. Like, sure, we will post that Russell Wilson story over and over again on Instagram, but so is he. And like, that's the way for him to, post retirement, a month or two ago, to like show his personality, show he's down to have fun. Jameis Winston was there. Brady, Gronk, Djokovic, Bieber, like all of these people who you might think are a little more reserved come out. They see their fans. They see all the other athletes are there. And I think we've seen the growth of someone like LeBron being like, hey, I'm coming 2 days. One isn't enough. Or the Knicks, the 4 out of the 5 starters were there for 2 days. And they walked down the show floor with the championship trophy for a second championship parade. And like, they want to do these things because there is no other event where they can experience their fans at this level and show and give back and show their appreciation.
Fascinating. It's wild. Well, it really is. It's very impressive, and congrats to you and the team for capturing and breaking the internet, as you said. But we need like a plaque of some sort, like 4-time internet breaking moment. Something. We need some sort of like honorarium.
I think we can make that.
There's not enough awards in advertising. Yeah. So I think that
I agree.
Yeah. We should probably create another award.
One more. The last one. We'll call it the last one.
I will say something leaving BBDO that CBH was preaching pretty hard, which I agree, is like, don't chase awards. Chase content and work that people want to see, and then the awards come. And I know BBDO is doing a great job at that now, but particularly for us, like, we're not submitting to award shows. We want to do awesome work that people love and people want to engage with. And the business results, like, that all comes. But yeah, focus on your fans, do great work, tell awesome stories, and everything just becomes significantly easier.
Yeah, I imagine it's very fulfilling when you're doing this kind of work that breaks through to like everyday people. Like, everyone is talking about it, not just people in the industry.
Exactly. I think that's, if you're a sports fan, even if you're not, the amount of people who are texting me, was this real? Did this happen? Oh my God. And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah,
let the content speak for itself. But I tried getting you two there. I offered free tickets.
I do appreciate.
Still on
that.
For next year.
I will be there next year. Can we even do the live show from Fanatics Fest next year?
I think we could probably arrange something.
There we go.
That's how you put someone on the spot right away. There you go. Hey,
Matthew Lowe,
appreciate it.
Thank you so much for coming on. And once again, congratulations. We can't wait to follow along from here.
Appreciate you two. You guys are rock stars. Keep doing your thing.
Thank you. That was Matthew Lowe, creative director at Fanatics. And that was the show. What a show. Presented by Tatari, Gino. A new presenting sponsor alert. Shout out Tatari. We got the sticker there. We got, look at that. Nothing like a fresh cup of Tatari to wrap up the live show. And shout out to Tracksuit as well, exclusive data partner of the Breaking Entering live show. Gino,
So,
how you feeling? What a weekend it was for us. This is the post show. We're going to the post show now. But we're back again tomorrow tomorrow, Wednesday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, LinkedIn, YouTube X. If you missed this show, we're going to post it.
Too
YouTube,
bad. You
Apple,
missed
and
it.
Spotify.
you ain't going to see it if you missed it.
That's right.
Oh, wait. There's actually, when do we post on YouTube, Jack?
We'll post right after this.
Boom.
It'll be up. You'll be able to watch it. It's all good. They got it all figured out, YouTube. How was the show? JR, thumbs up from JR. Ellie, is the producer mic on? Can we?
Oh, God.
Ellie, everyone.
Brace yourselves.
That's.
I called my parents yesterday and they were like, "Are you smoking? Like, what's going on?" Like, no. That's just me.
That's just you. So you lost your voice. I don't know if people can tell, but so how are you feeling? Are you feeling better?
Yeah, I'm good. I have a cough. I feel pretty bad actually. You know what? You know when you like hit your like cough maximum and you have to like hold it in and you're like gonna throw up?
No.
Okay. Anybody got
I'm
me
sorry
there?
you're going through that. Ellie.
Yeah, really. I mean,
And you're making her work
I
things?
knew that you were going to say that. Ellie, if you don't feel like you have to come in here if you're sick.
I want to be in here.
That's
There you go.
there you
Cool.
go.
All right. You heard it.
There you go.
You're good.
All right, well, that's the show. Thank you all so much for joining. This has been the Breaking and Entering Show. I'm Jack. This is Gino.
Gino.
I'm Jack. This is Gino. I'm Jack. This is Gino. Gino.
Live show tomorrow.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.